Glad to have you speaking to us. I finally get to speak to you after their words. You won the award for Best Mobile App. Help us understand how business has changed after this particular night.
After getting that award, actually, when it comes to the fintech, so many people don't believe in they are like, we want to see it in actual. We want to see how people are using it.
Right.
So now, after getting that award, I've got a lot of transactions that really we haven't got from the start of this year. So it's like combining them in just 1 week.
Right.
So that is one thing that I can say that we've got in that award, yeah, which has really transformed the way business.
Boosted everything since then.
Yeah,
and now, which brings us to this conversation, because we're seeing you also head the conversation or head this particular domain. We have of course, Bitcoin has been in our news the whole particular time, cryptocurrency, and now blockchain, which we'll get into with what's happening with your company. But there is this craze, and people are talking about how it's a bubble that's going to bust, and everyone is trying to speculate whether to buy or not. Is it a bubble, and what is currently driving this rally?
Yeah, exactly. So when I'm going to talk about Bitcoins, first, when I heard about it, because for me, my background is in software development.
Right.
So I was like, I want to dig into this, and I want to know what's going on, what's really driving this, all of this bubble, which is, people are saying it might crash, but why? Right. So when I looked at it, when we got in, it has something called a blockchain. And the blockchain is that technology which is giving that confidence to the people. So many people are doing a lot of investment because without even knowing what's going on in the background.
Right.
But for me, from my experience, Bitcoins and digital currencies, they are coming to stay. I think that is the next thing that we are getting into. And there is no way that you can escape that. Instead of saying that it's a bubble, we shall all move from this current currency into the cryptocurrency because of so many factors.
All right. Yeah. And now let's talk about UPlus. We'll try and work in what's happening, create context outside and inside the continent. Now, you deal with digital contribution, savings, and investments. Exactly. Was this fundamentally, when you started off, did you fundamentally know that you would incorporate blockchain, or this came after, along the way?
No, not at all. We got into that because we were having a lot of issues knowing how we can secure our transactions, because people are putting money together, but if a hack happens, it could be really worse. So we were looking for so many different solutions. So when we looked at blockchain and the digital currency, we saw that it is unhackable solution, unhackable technology. So that's how we jumped into that, and then started now using the technology which is driving Bitcoins and so many other cryptocurrencies, which is called blockchain.
All right. How big is the portfolio that you're handling? Because we might need to also understand what kind of numbers you're working with.
Right now, we have so many people who are coming in. We have different people in different sectors. We have people who are contributing for weddings. We have people who are contributing for savings groups. In Rwanda, we call them ibimina.
Right.
Really, they are in so many different sectors. It is open for anyone. So numbers keeps on changing day by day.
Yeah. Right. Would you estimate maybe how much money you transact per week, per day, or per month on average?
I would say we are still on startup level.
Right.
Where per week we transact in average something like $17,000 last year. So we are still in a startup level, so probably it will
after their words, I'm sure that number will rise tremendously.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned that this is unhackable.
Yes.
Let's just paint a slight comparison. We had the elections in the States that was mentioned to be hacked. We had the WikiLeaks, which was, the system there was had almost entirely incorporated blockchain into the leaks, and we saw the WikiLeaks and a lot more. How can we be so certain that this platform that worries and surrounds our digital wallets is entirely secure? How confident can we get?
When you talk about blockchain, it's so many. We are using it in so many different ways. But there's a blockchain which is a decentralized blockchain, where if you want to confirm if a transaction happens, there's a digital signature. So everyone in a blockchain, let's say I want to send you money. So everyone who has that, let's say, Bitcoin app,
right,
it has to confirm that transaction is valid. So when it comes to those elections, probably the system that they built wasn't really that blockchain that we are seeing in this digital currency. That is why people who owns it, they could be able to hack it. That's what I can say.
There's also another element of crypto jacking where a lot of people used to visit websites, and the visitor sites would allegedly load mining software onto your browser, and before you know it, you're just continuing with your Twitter and your WhatsApp, and they're actually mining in the background using your servers as, of course, your resource. So how equipped are you to manage such a situation?
Well, we are trying so hard to protect ourselves with these ones, but all of that happens on the server side.
Right.
So I would say that it's a little bit technologically that I can be able to explain, but we have done so many different measurements so that
it's all right. Try me. Just let's go ahead. Tell us what's been happening. So, as technical as you can get. So,
well, if someone wants to do that, wants to incorporate that system which can be able to mine for some other softwares, your system must be so weak that he can attach on his robot on your app.
Right.
So what we've done is that we are now, when a transaction is going to happen, it first creates a way, first opens a channel. So with that channel, there's no way that anyone can be able to put in anything in the middle. So that is why it can only happen on, the mining can only happen on only software, and that software, it only works on smartphones. So there's no way that, well, probably it could be there, but on our level of understanding, there's no way that someone can be able to hijack what.
Now, we've tried, because when we started the thread and the conversation on blockchain and cryptocurrencies, a lot of people were asking about how exactly we could engage in mining and how we could see a lot more people participate. And the first case was the initial amount to get into mining, because you needed your own server and you needed to be part of another system. It's more like, it sounded more like a Ponzi scheme where you had to introduce someone else so that it was cheaper for you. But are you engaging on consumer awareness or helping people understand that they can actually go ahead and do it themselves?
Well, when it comes to mining, really I would say that few people in here can be able to do that mining, because mining, it involves a lot of network, internet, and then it involves a lot of power. That I would say that in here in Rwanda, we haven't really got on that level. Few people have got on that level of being able to mine, because mining a transaction, only one transaction, won't really make you rich. So you need to be having a lot of resources. That's why I would say that in bringing people into mining industry here, it's really still really, it involves a lot of time. Maybe in the next 2 years, that's when we are going to start getting
see a lot more activity on the same.
In the mining
all right. So let's talk about the parties that are involved in the Rwandan context. Yes. We saw the central bank. I mentioned this to you at the top of the show. The central bank and the Ministry of Finance mentioned that they were willing to engage in the conversation on cryptocurrencies. But being a digital currency, you don't actually need the regulator to give you the go-ahead. You can do it whether they're there or not. Yes. But this prevents now a safety and a legality issue. What are your thoughts or concerns around this conversation?
Well, I would say that there are so many different ways that they can do that, because when it comes to the regulation, you know, this cryptocurrency, there's no one who can regulate it. But without saying that, in China they have banned it. Even in Russia they have banned it. Yeah. So for it, if they say that they have opened, it's open for everyone to start using it. With the regulations put in place where they can even protect someone, or they can even educate openly someone how they can be able to do that kind of investment, I think that's where people are going to do it safely. Right. Yeah, I think it's going to bring more safer way of doing things. Now
you're both in front, so you've talked to us about the technicality of things, but in front, in terms of the consumer, understanding the Rwandan market, which would be the easiest sector or the easiest product given to the market that you think cryptocurrency would be quickly adopted? Is it fuel? Is it food? Where would that be? Is it the banking sector?
Well, I would say that it will be just in general transactions, people sending money each other. Right. I would explain it in this way. Right. We are getting into the cashless economy. So when you get into cashless economy, I would not say that I have MTN mobile money's money. I would not say that I have Tigo's cash money. I don't say that I have this bank's money. It's all money. So when we all start getting into that digital cashless economy, it will really get into it. There's no one who's going to even tell someone to do it. they are going to start using it. Like, for example, I can give you an example. There are in so many countries that they have this card, the Visa card for Bitcoins.
Right.
So if I have Bitcoins on my wallet, I can go to any ATM, same as a Visa card, and I withdraw the cash money, Rwandan money. So if it gets here, I can even use it on my wallet, maybe mobile money wallet, and I go to any agent and gain money. So that's why I say that when it comes to the cashless, when we get into cashless, maybe 1 year or 2 years to come, it will come without even anyone telling anybody to use it.
Right, and that's where the central bank comes in, because they need to be also very stringent about possibly the FX conversion, or when we are mining it and getting the cash in, the Bitcoin, of course, translating to hard currency, dollars, as the peg on the Bitcoin, getting it in francs, that means liquidity around the market will also be really compromised. So what do you think about this?
Well, when Bitcoin comes or digital currency comes in place, there are so many things that it destroys. So I would say that even that one, it is one of the major bad factors that I can say that it's going to affect. Right. So I think for me, I don't think there's any way around it, because there's no one who regulates it. And even the central bank, when it says that, I don't really know how they can even really play around that one, because it's an international thing. All right. So that's why I would say that it is really hard to play around with it. To get around on the same table. It's a tough one. Now, let's talk about the inequality that this might bring. You've mentioned a bit of it. When we say that people are, I've asked you which one we could get to using first. You mentioned regular transactions, but we're seeing with the regular transactions, most of the people maybe in the rural areas or anyone with no access to a smartphone would be completely marginalized. They would have no access to this new entrant into the market. So we'd see a lot more gap with inequality and a lot more poverty levels, higher poverty levels now within the years to come. Is there any way that we can work out a system of inclusion, or what is the case now being made for marginalization? Well, that system can be there. That system can be there, though it's not going to be more efficient. It's going to be there where people can use feature phones, just these small phones. Right. But it's not going to be efficient, because anyone who is using like a cryptocurrency must be having a smartphone. But when it comes to feature phone, when people are using SMSs, so that means that there should be another person in the middle who is going to be trading for them. So I think that is really another problem. When you can even look at it in this way. I can give you an example. Last year, when my friend interested me to buy some Bitcoins, to invest in Bitcoins, it was at $600 US, right. Just like I did like right now. So right now, as I'm speaking, it is at $17,000 US. Right. And did above. You buy? Yes, I did. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So now, when I did, I was like, let me just try. So it kept on rising. So I was like, now I'm going to even sell everything that I have and put in there. Yeah. But what I'm trying to mean here is that so many people have been investing in digital currency. So many people. But when I say so many people, you have to exclude those ones that you've been talking about. Right. So now, the rich are getting richer. Right. So it is still being like that. But I think there will be another way to play around with it, and that is our role as a fintech. As fintechs, we are still trying to see how we can do it. But still, there will still be a gap, because people who have feature phones, they are not meant to use this digital currency. Completely excluded. But we can still trade for them. They can have a USSD where we can trade for them. All right. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. That actually makes a lot of sense. So let's now get back the conversation to UPlus. You've given us the basis of what you work on. You've mentioned digital contribution, savings, and investments. We'd like to understand, because this is a market that is highly speculative. It has never been there before. How do you prepare, knowing that there is no reference point? You don't understand what has been done or what could work or not. How do you prepare your business or secure your business? Well, the way I do it is so simple. Because we have opened it to be an unlimited business where anyone can plug in. It's a platform where anyone can plug in and start using it. So that's how I can say that. Let's say I can use it to fundraise for maybe my wedding or something like that. Right. We can use it as a savings group. Maybe political parties can use it to raise money for campaigns. So we have opened it. We've made a platform, and we are even bringing APIs where people can even use it on their own on their own softwares. So that's the only way that I can say that we have tried to play around with that one.
Right. My final question before we go for a break. Yes. What conversations have you been having with the payment switches like R-Switch and the banks or MFIs in Rwanda?
Well, we are currently we are nearly to work with R-Switch, though it has we are still in conversations, right. But we are plugged to MTN Mobile Money and Tigo Cash. So, and then with the banks, we are working with the BK Bank to help us through the Visa card transactions and MasterCard. Right. So I would say that for them, they don't really mind about it. They just really, if we are giving them transactions, and that's what they want, the rest is for the regulators.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
You've created a lot of context. I really appreciate you creating time, coming and speak to us on the same. Clement Muhirwa, CTO and Co-Founder of UPlus